certain things take, and why you have to have ecosystems, because you actually have to share some of that risk sometimes. Other reasons why you do as well. But when, you know, when Ed the founder reminds us that that's how long it took him to do that. Now in the 20 years since, they've made around their 15th cookie, right? But it's, some of this does take time, but at least we've started. Yeah, that's what you're saying.
Related question on ecosystem. So, you know, established companies and innovation, there's always that healthy tension between swinging for the fences and then playing it safe and the incrementality you sort of get away from. I'm just curious, it sounds like you guys have all taken different approaches for how do you protect that swing for the fences mentality within the framework of that established company. I'd love to hear from all of you guys.
Just by swing by the fences.
So swing for the fences. Like
Bold.
really bold.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not just sort of Me Too or 2.0, but really kind of step change.
You know, we've been very fortunate within Clorox to get approval at the highest levels to operate differently than a traditional brand team would. And we operate almost like a startup within the company. So I don't have a top line target, I have a loss target. So I can do a lot of things, I just can't lose more than X amount of money. And so that in a lot of ways is very liberating, and sometimes I have to keep reminding leadership that that's what we agreed to, because it's very easy to get sucked back into the traditional metrics that we measure each brand on, the market share, things like that. And so we have to keep reminding and really infuse a different culture for me in a big company like Clorox, where I have to keep reminding my team, okay, that's how you would do it at Clorox. What would you do if you were an entrepreneur? And we ask ourselves that question all the time. We bring, you know, pictures in from other smaller entrepreneurial companies to keep us in the mind of like, okay, don't think like the rest of Clorox. Think like XYZ startup. And I think the cultural shift is important. That's an enabler. And then also, you know, as you think about the agreements from the leadership or whoever's holding the purse strings, to really think about what are the few metrics that you can agree to that will allow you operating freedom to live within the structure you need to live in.
I'll say, I mean, the Hartford is a very conservative company. It's an insurance company. It's been around for over 200 years. And so, you know, I'm glad to hear that it takes you all 5 years, because I was thinking we're so slow, but that's probably about the time frame it takes us. So one of the influences for us is our relationship with AARP. I mean, I have to say that the role that they play in influencing businesses is huge, and we use that around innovation, because some of our ideas are not necessarily, you know, when you do the math on it, you do the CBA, you're like, I don't know whether that turns out. An example of that is a new product feature we just launched, which I'm very proud of, which has the universal design concept, right? We know that people don't make changes to their home. Most of us don't until there's a crisis, and then sometimes it's too late and you can't live in your home environment. So we wanted to try to incent people to do that. We did a study with USC. We knew that if people get information at the time they've had a home loss, that they're more likely to make a change. So we thought, great, let's have a product feature. You can get it. We think everyone who has our homeowner's insurance should have it, so that if something horrible happens to your house, you get an extra pool of money that will incent you that when you build back your kitchen, you build it with all the universal design features. Well, our product folks, you know, were not willing to build it into our product for free, because they did all the numbers and it didn't work. So I would say the other element, besides having to demonstrate why you want to do it, is then the compromise piece. So we had a give and take, and we've gone to market with it as an extra price. There's a price point, but we got agreement from our product folks to say, look, if this doesn't sell in the market, it's not because the concept itself doesn't work, it's because the market isn't ready for it. Or it needs to be, the price point needs to be lower. I mean, no one had done this. We had no idea where to price it. And we're right in the beginning stages of that, so it's a process. I mean, and for us, it's true, we've had a 30-year history and sort of a culture, but it's still challenging. I mean, you come up with an idea that's, you know, that you can't make all the numbers work. It's sort of a leap of faith that you have to bring people along.
That's the $50,000 question every CEO asks, right? Ask the R&D guy. It's a function of the categories you're doing business in. So if I look at our color cosmetics hair salon, professional and prestige businesses, the rate of turn and innovation in those businesses is phenomenal. You know, new color palettes every 12 months. It's phenomenal, right? Whereas if we look at our healthcare business, right, we spent 30 years in oral care, oral biology, and infectious diseases. A breakthrough and transformative innovation like Crest White Strips is once every 7 years. And that's all you need to win. So you have to find the right balance point and tailor that to the category, sector, and brand strategies. Look at the competitive set in the businesses and industries that you're playing against, and then keep an eye out for how would the category get obsoleted. And make sure you're never, ever trapped in a situation where the category would be obsolete. And so you weigh all of those factors, you develop your innovation portfolio targeted against that for mid, near, and long term. And then you place enough bets, so you do risk adjusted assessments, we do that with our finance guys all the time. And then we come up with a portfolio that will deliver a successive sequence of initiatives that will build the business at a rate that our CEO, board of directors, and investors will be happy with. And that's what, you know, the fundamentals of that question are all about.
That's a Fortune 100 company answer, though. As an entrepreneur, I think actually Professor Hill's the best one to answer this question, because to me the answer comes down to leadership and culture. And if the CEO is looking over the shoulder at what the potential disruptors might be and is willing to invest in it, hopefully that person is smart enough to have a balance of incremental things and swing for the fences things, but I can't do all that.
So what do you do?
Well, we do, it's not as scientific. It was just, we do a mix of incrementalism and occasionally try, you know, a much bolder bet for us. And we don't have the luxury of test marketing. We build a building, we built it. We can't. And so we have to guess, we have to be pretty confident in our guesses about that. So, but we're constantly sort of tweaking our service offerings and the way we market and so on and so forth, which are the more incremental ones. And occasionally, once in a while, we'll take a bet on a new product idea, new building concept. And
Could you give an example of all of the street residences that you recently decided to go for, that you can talk about?
well, we're also not quite as secretive as the other guys. I can tell you. No, we're actually, for example, we've got a site that we're going to be developing a new building on now that we're going to be having 3 different levels of care for different types of dementia. So Alzheimer's, assisted living, Alzheimer's, assisted living communities for Alzheimer's is not that unusual, but having different levels that are served, early stage, and so on, that's different. And that's an example of, we're going to make a bet on a building, and we're going to market it in a particular way, and we've done a lot of research to convince ourselves we think that's prudent, but that would be an example of it.
And is your notion that the person can really stay in the same community and move to different floors as they get?
No, this
or
is
could be
more,
separate.
these are more sort of,
separate populations.
yeah, these are more folks who suffer from one particular type of dementia, likely or not going to encounter the other.
Tom, most of your facilities, or most all, are focused on assisted living, more intense care, not independent living.
No, we have a mix of independent living, assisted living, Alzheimer's assisted living. We don't do, because of the earlier question, we're not in the freestanding skilled nursing business because I don't want to deal with all the government payments, but we have mostly assisted living, but we have a fair amount of independent living as well.
Anything else that you want to describe as being particularly proud of, or?
I do. I think it's easy from sitting in a big company to kind of look at this market from afar. One of the things that I'm really proud of is that I've been able to bring this consumer that is hard for a lot of people at Clorox to connect with into the building. Emails, I know a lot of people's personal stories who are consumers. I would email caregivers directly. My team had invested with a individual who we met along the way who was making a film about his brother, caring for his brother with ALS, caring for his adult brother with And we met him along the way, and we met his family. His name is Ernesto Quintero, and the film is called A Sacred Journey. If you have a chance to look it up, it's very, very powerful. And he set out to make a film. His brother was given sort of 6 months before they thought his condition was gonna be completely debilitating. And his brother decided he wanted to make a mural in Los Angeles. And so his whole family got together to try to help him realize this project before things got too challenging for him. And there's a race against time, and a long story short is that a film that he made thinking it was gonna be 6 months long actually ended up being more of a story about his family's caregiving struggle for over the next few years, because his brother, they made some choices, his brother was put on a ventilator, and all the challenges that they dealt with as they thought about making choices for him, taking his beliefs into account, and also dealing with their own emotional struggles with caring for him. So I'm really proud that we've worked with him to help invest with him to bring that story to more people. And we, at those caregiver respite events that I told you about that we sponsored across the country, that was one of the films that we showed. We showed a snippet from that film. And we hope to continue to support him, and that maybe he's in independent film festivals this fall. And so again, just making the story very real, so that it's not, it's not the demographics of someone who's this age to this age and lives in this part of the country and likes these sorts of foods. Like, how do we actually bring real people's stories into our boardrooms so that we have empathy for them?
And so, and there's so many levels, forgive me for going to this one piece of the puzzle, but it sounds like, in part, what you're doing is, all of you, is more solution-oriented as opposed to service or product. So not only are you trying to do a more universal design, but you're trying to look at solutions to help people's lives be better. Given what you're doing in that solution approach and building it that way is important. So were you the one who first created the team? Was it your idea to start the team? So you said you were the starter, where you inherited?
I inherited pretty early on, so we were still in the development phase when I joined the team. So there were a few people, actually about 3 people who were sent off to try to assess what were some transitions in life that needed some more cultivating. And then I joined the team pretty early on and kind of stayed with it for the last little over 2 years.
Other questions that people have of the group, or observations anyone would like to make? I know that no, I know, Matt, you had some slides you wanted, I don't know if anybody else did. Are you okay with that now?
If you want to see a Swiffer commercial with a husband and wife, you want to see that, maybe that'd be a fun way.
Can I ask just one last
You
question?
know, I actually, yes, and I'll say one embarrassing thing. So my best friend in Boston is a professor at MIT. I won't tell you that we love the Container Store, but this was well before the Container Store. She found Swiffer. So here, I finished my class teaching at the Harvard Business School, being a very sophisticated professor. I get back, I have a message from Lorraine. We've got to go out. Have you seen this Swiffer? So, we both leave class. She leaves MIT. I leave Harvard. We go get this Swiffer and we test it out. So yes, I'm very anxious to see this. Literally, she runs over from MIT and Swiffer.
You're going to have to drive.
I will drive this thing. So yes, I will. I'll have to tell her that I got to show a Swiffer commercial. This was now many, many years ago. This is what professors do when they're getting like crazed, right? So let me. This thing, the Swiffer. So your slide. This is. Here they are. So what? This one. Oh, there's. Let me just. Get this one.
Oh, interesting. Let's see what happens. No, let's see what happens.
I like a clean kitchen.
I don't do any cleaning. I make dirt.
I'm not big enough or strong enough for this.
There should be some ways to make it easier. Here's a box, babe. Open it up.
Oh my goodness.
What is a wedge?
Some kind of a mopping device. There's a lot of dirt on here. Morty, look at how easy it is.
It's almost like dancing.
Dun, 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 dun,
What's it there?
These are real consumers who are the parents of someone from one of the agencies we use, and she said, hey, come on over, check out my mom and dad. And we said,
We are the Linwoods,
In our Native American culture, it's really important that a man gives back more than he takes.
and I'm trying to teach that to my older son, Malik.
As the oldest, I get all the coolest jobs like mopping.
He spreads the dirt around.
So-
We only have a song, so what?
universal design, younger generation,
Listen.
right?
Swiffer wet jet.
You don't need a bucket.
I think I could rock this. It's pretty gross.
I'm proud of you.
I'm just giving back one clean floor at a time.
Just say, well, so we have to think about the diversity involved here.
Exactly, right.
You didn't ask Lorraine and I, MIT professor, Harvard business professor, we will Swiffer for you. Okay? We were one of the first to do that, because she found it somewhere, but anyway. I want to thank the panel, it's really a pleasure to get to know you. I have found this a very interesting evening.
When you only have one hand, you're not doing anything as fast as you used to, which is funny because I still do it better than her.
You know, I don't think I was meant to.
This is embedded in this slide, let me get out of this slide. Okay, there we are. There we are. Let me just turn this off. This is all of our, I have a tongue business classroom allowed. There we are. So, I want to thank all of you. I hope you found it to be an interesting evening. I think at this point, I want to thank, should we give a applause to continuing to innovate on our behalf. And thank you all for coming to the Harvard Business School tonight. We appreciate it.